Taking deep breath, settle into the moment, letting go of any thought to what's next, any recollection of the past, just staying in the openness of our awareness. And as thoughts arise, just say, not that. Move on. Allow them to pass. As you notice that the part of you that never changes is the observing itself. Body changes. Idea of ourselves changes. Judgments come in and out, habitual thoughts. But the light of awareness itself and its openness and broadness across creatures and beings, that never changes. So as thoughts arise, as things come up, imagination, ask yourself, who is thinking this? Can you find yourself? Can you see the perceiver within? Sometimes there's a sense of self, feelings that we often associate with ourselves, but even those ideas, those feelings are seen by what? Not looking for a verbalized intellectual answer, just turning towards the seat of perception. Notice any tensions in the body arise and allow them to leave your attention. Notice any identification with the body's feelings of tightness, often tightness or something like that, like pain. We'll use to say, well, I don't feel too settled. But notice that those things are seen in the light of your awareness. And are passing. Often we want to escape certain thoughts, certain ideas, things that feel heavy or scary. But the ancients say we should also let go of our attachment to thoughts that we save, that we bring out to look at, desires that draw us, favorite ideas. Allow those two to pass, as they always do. turning to see if you can perceive the one perceiving these thoughts. Turning inward. In this state of inquiry, things will naturally pass. A type of peace can arise, silence, even amidst our mind's continual offerings of thoughts, that in this case, in this moment, we pass on. Notice how often you're painting a picture of yourself as a separate person, something that you can see from the seat of perception. And allow that to pass as it always does as well, always changeful. Noticing again that perception is our only constant. As we set aside our worries, often our minds will try to convince us of the import of our thoughts. This thing needs to be thought about now. This thing needs to be done. What's next? What's next? Allow even these thoughts to arise and fall away without your engagement. And even a sense of engagement, notice that that is watched, and also allow that to pass. Continuing our inquiry of who, what is thinking, seeing these things. Often we identify with our minds and bodies, and yet we perceive these things. What perceives these things? As we set aside our histories and any thoughts of the future, setting aside imagination and analysis, judgment, a type of silence and openness might arise. Even as other thoughts come, not hugging them back, there's a sense of openness, of silence, even amidst sound, external sound. And notice how this silent spaciousness of awareness itself didn't have to be crafted. Just notice, just come to as you allow other thoughts, your identification with ideas, the sense of personality to rise and fall, seeking the seat of perception. Any ideas of not quite feeling comfortable, still feeling that kind of tension we often have with the moment. Just notice that even that is seen and passing. It's not always in our attention, it doesn't always arise. Sense of disorder or pain, even. Just notice the passing nature of anything that arises. And notice what doesn't change beyond words, so to speak. Often we carry limiting beliefs about ourselves. Notice these as they arise. Often we identify with them. And note that if the ancient sages, ancient scriptures are correct, the light of awareness itself is infinite. We are one with it. A consciousness that allows for all the details to arise in every being is in itself not a detail, not arising, yet always with us. Even our name is perceived. This comes before our name, our idea of ourselves, identification with our body, with our histories as we think of it, with our reputations as we know it. All things arising to this. All things passing in front of this. Often an arrogant part of ourselves wants to preen in our consciousness. Notice this as well if it arises. Just noting that it's seen. By what? Dismissing the arrogance or idea of ourselves, humiliation, fear, imagination as it arises. Doesn't need help. If we but refuse to follow, these things quickly pass, and if we don't, they still can quickly pass. Just allowing any sense of imperfection to rise and fall. Even in the body, just accepting how it is, how it's perceived in the moment. Any uncomfortableness is seen. And turn back towards the seeing. It may seem like a nothingness, but it is the light of consciousness itself. The peace of your intrinsic being never disappearing in your life, always there, observing and dream, awake. It may seem somewhat insubstantial because it's not attached. The space that allows for all things. And yet, naturally, there's a peace there, and joy can come from that peace, a stillness leading to that peace, a love coming from that joy of your intrinsic nature, your Buddha spirit, Christ or Krishna consciousness, divine, angelic self. Whatever the words, it's beyond words. The mind might ask, well, what comes of this? What's the purpose? What's next? And allow those thoughts to pass as well. Noting that the light of consciousness itself doesn't feel hurried or anxious, doesn't feel fragmented, distracted, doesn't feel division towards other people, threat, fear. Why is that? The sages say that in this space, as that we start to uncover it more and more, intuitiveness will sprout. No need to plan so much ahead. No need to run from our obligations either. A natural engagement with our lives without the sense of pressure, anxiety. So allow this to come into your own experience as you can. Just setting aside the need to choose in every moment so many things. And see what comes. See what arises naturally. And as identifications arise, either with the body or a sense of self, a picture of yourself, notice these even going forward from today, just noticing that they're perceived and thinking who perceives these things, seeing if it's tangible, noticing within, searching. Who identifies with this body? Who has so many ambitions? Often these things, there is a person to be seen, so to speak, sense of self. Noticing that even that is seen by who, by what. When we live from the story we tell ourselves, the sages say, we can't help but feel a sense of limitation, crowdedness, distractedness, tightness. And so notice as that sense arises, a sense of a person, some type of story, a projection, a delusion that we tell ourselves, no matter how grounded in what we think of as our history or past thoughts, always changing, even if it feels somewhat consistent, or at least certain thoughts that arise from time to time feel somewhat consistent. Noticing that none of these things describe the seed of perception itself and only so limitedly describe you as your body or mind or life or reputation, even in that limited sense. Sages say any curiosity in this line of inquiry within is bestowed by grace. An awakening is coming for all individuals willing to look beyond the limited conceptions of their minds and to inquire what is their true nature. Allow yourself a sense of gratitude for whatever arises in this peaceful state, for the life you've lived, even for the hardships that may propel you more and more towards awakening, to escape your mind, to escape the sense of circumstances, to escape the pressure, the limited projection that our society invites us to of ourselves. Notice that compared to the peace of light, the light of awareness, even our anxious state takes some effort. Projection of self that needs to be defended. That even our idea of stupidity, of arrogance, all these things, drawing our energy, inviting us to empower them into more thoughts along their lines. Thoughts that we don't care about, they just go. Many things arise we don't care about. Many other things could arise, but they never will due to our lack of interest. So allow yourself to turn that energy, that empowerment towards what you carry in every moment, your awareness itself, peace of life itself, natural compassion, flow. None of these things need to be crafted, just noticed, uncovered, turned to. Any sense of not staying with meditation is also seen. Feeling of coming in and out. In this awareness, there's no need for forced internal silence, just a noticing of a higher openness, a higher silence, beyond the noise of the mind. And as you allow things to pass, even the most intimate of voices within come into more awareness of this natural space. Thank you.